Let's dive straight into today's explainer, where we're reconstructing the timeline of a truly baffling disappearance and a very grim discovery out of Odisha. This is the skeleton in the spinning mill. 18 months. It's a long time to wait for anything, right? But just try to put yourself in this family's shoes for a second. Imagine 18 grueling months of waking up every single day wondering where your son is. No clues, no phone pings, no confirmed sightings. Just a massive, agonizing void of information and a deafening silence. Well, that silence finally shattered in early June 2026. Local residents stumbled onto a scene straight out of a nightmare. Human skeletal remains decaying inside a crumbling, unused building. Specifically, they were found in the abandoned canteen of the defunct Aska spinning mill. What was once a busy hub of local industry had secretly become a hidden tomb for a year and a half. So let's look at the night Shankar vanished. Before we can really grasp the gravity of what was found in that mill, we need to know who was lost. The man at the center of this case is Shankar Patra. He was just 24 years old, a grocery shop owner from Narasinghpur village in the Ganjam district. By all accounts, this was a young guy completely rooted in his community. He was running his own business, with his whole life stretching out ahead of him. He wasn't transient, he was a real fixture of his village. And this is where the timeline gets really disturbing. It highlights a terrifying gap. Shankar vanishes on November 29, 2024, after heading out to meet some friends. 2 days later, on December 1st, a missing person complaint is officially filed at the Kotinada police station. And then, absolutely nothing. A complete blank space until June 2026, when those skeletal remains are finally discovered. Which brings us to those 18 months of silence. You see, the events of that final night are absolutely loaded with red flags. This wasn't someone just packing a bag and leaving town. According to his father, Laxman Patra, Shankar gets a few phone calls from friends, he goes out to meet them, and shortly after, his mobile phone mysteriously goes completely dead. And when the desperate family finally confronted these acquaintances, the explanations they gave were, in the father's words, not satisfactory and wildly inconsistent. So, despite all these glaring red flags, a dead phone, changing stories, the trail just went ice cold. The investigation essentially stalled out as a standard missing person inquiry. The police simply didn't have the hard evidence to escalate it, leaving the family trapped in this 18-month nightmare without a single solid lead to go on. Now, let's get into the mill's gruesome secret. Fast forward again to June 2026, back inside that abandoned canteen at the spinning mill. When the news of the discovery broke, Shankar's mother and relatives rushed straight to the site. And what they found alongside those skeletal remains were very specific items of clothing: a shirt, trousers, and shoes. Seeing those deeply personal belongings among the ruins made the family absolutely certain. For them, there was zero doubt left. These remains belonged to Shankar. And that leads us right into a family crime murder. That instant identification by the relatives sparked a fierce standoff. On one side, you have a grieving family who are 100% convinced this is a calculated murder. They believe Shankar's body was deliberately dumped in that abandoned building by those exact same acquaintances to destroy evidence, and they want accountability right now. But on the other side, the police are taking a strictly neutral, procedural approach. They've registered it as an unnatural death and are proceeding with extreme forensic caution. They simply aren't jumping to any conclusion. Inspector Damodar Bihari from the Kotinada police station summed it up perfectly. He flat out stated, "We will confirm if the skeleton is of the missing person only after getting the DNA report. The authorities can't and won't officially confirm the victim's identity, let alone how they died, until the hard science actually backs it up." So we are officially waiting for the science. Ultimately, the truth right now is locked inside a laboratory. The authorities have securely seized the remains from the mill and transferred them to the forensic department at MKCG Medical College and Hospital in Berhampur. Right now, everything hinges on DNA profiling. The scientific process is the absolute pivot point for the entire case. Until those results come in, everything we have is just a theory. But while we wait for those crucial lab results, we're left staring at some pretty massive questions. How exactly does a 24-year-old end up in the canteen of a ruined mill? Was this building the primary crime scene, or was he killed somewhere else and just moved here under the cover of darkness as a convenient dumping ground? And here's a detail that's incredibly hard to shake. How on earth does an initial missing person search completely overlook a body in a well in a known local landmark for a year and a half? The Oscar spinning mill isn't some invisible off-the-grid spot. It's a known structure. How did he lie there undiscovered through 18 months of changing seasons?
But perhaps the most chilling question of all, who exactly were those friends Shankar met on that fateful November night? What actually happened during that hangout that caused his phone to go completely dark? And why, when pressed by a desperate father, could they not keep their stories straight? What are they hiding?
It really all comes down to this: a skeleton hidden in plain sight, a family demanding justice, a police force banking on science. Once those DNA results finally come back from the lab, the science is going to dictate what happens next. It'll determine whether this grieving family gets the accountability they've been begging for, or if we are all just left standing at the edge of a much deeper, much darker mystery. So, what do you think the lab results will reveal?